Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV and welcome to Forbidden Planet TV new releases. This time around with our special guest, the one and only Mr. Bill Burr. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed. Yeah, where are you at the moment, man?
I'm at the Jersey Shore.
Nice.
I don't know where the heck I am. Somewhere around Asbury Park.
Yeah.
Long Branch, I think. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a little bit close to October, so it's kind of cold out there.
Yeah,
and I'm a redhead, so I don't care.
Yeah, I know how that feels. I used to be one once, mate. I just got too old.
Yeah, you and me both.
Too old for it. So and it's going to be it's a bit cooler where you are now. Then, of course, one of the things you're super well known for in the UK is playing Patrick Kuby in Breaking Bad. Everybody's favourite show.
Wow.
And so I guess it's a bit cooler on the Jersey Shore than it was back in the in the center of the nation right there. There's some of those episodes look pretty hot when you were shooting them.
Oh yeah, that was all shot out in New Mexico. You fly into Albuquerque, but it was such a finely oiled machine when I got there. I remember one time I actually went in, shot a scene, landed the night before, shot a scene, and they changed my flight, and I flew out that night and made it. I mean, it was crazy. I shot in the morning, and I still made an afternoon flight that they switched me to. The way Vince Gilligan ran that show was, I've still yet to work on something that was run that tight. It was amazing. Everything was at the level of the writing and the performing and the music. Yeah. Everything was just top notch.
I can believe it. I mean, it's such an exceptional piece of work. It must be great to look back on that and to have been involved in something that had the huge cultural impact.
It's kind of been sort of my career where I'm not on the show, but I parrot troop into like some really cool stuff. I did a couple episodes on Chappelles Show, a couple episodes of Breaking Bad. I got to do an episode of The Mandalorian.
Fantastic.
Yeah, man. So
mate.
Yeah, it's sort of my, I don't know what it is. It's my sneaky way of staying relevant. Because I say a couple of lines on a absolutely genius show, and somehow people think that I'm a part of it when I'm not. I just passed through. I spent the night. I was a guest.
Yeah, I mean, The Mandalorian, that's another great show. I mean, it's all Chappelle, it's all Rolls-Royce stuff, mate.
And I've never been a Star Wars guy, and I watched the first season, obviously. So I'm very excited to see what happens in the second season, and it's so secretive, so I got no clue. So we'll see what happens. But once you got the little baby Yoda, I mean, you got to root for that.
Oh, right on. Yeah, it's a work of genius, mate. So we're here to launch. We've got at Forbidden Planet an exclusive range of F is for Family merchandise, a whole range of T-shirts, and a whole range of other items that are available for purchase now from the links that are attached to this video and this interview. And that's why Bill's joining us. And do you mind if we get into the genesis of F is for Family for a bit, mate? I know it's based on your comedy, but what was how did the show actually come about? And how did you get to create it with Michael Price?
Well, early on in my career, when I was a young man and I told my stories about growing up, they always killed and they did well. And then somewhere where I became a middle-aged man, they started getting like groans and just a different generation came along and they were raised differently. So I got frustrated and I kind of stopped telling the stories. And then one day I was walking my dog and I thought, well, what if I animate him? Because I've been watching a lot of South Park and Family Guy and The Simpsons, just seeing what they get away with. So I was like, I'm going to start making 5-minute animated vignettes on my website. But of course, I'm a comedian. I procrastinated. I never did it. So meanwhile, I was going in and out of deals and none of my shows ever got picked up. And all it did was just take me off the map. Like, oh, we can't book that guy. He's in a deal. And I was just missing out on opportunities. So finally, I just said, I'm not doing any more of these holding deals. Because, they give you a little bit of money and then you can't work and my stuff never gets picked up. So right as I said, to hell with it, I don't want a TV show, I opened for this comic, Steve Byrne, at the Improv. And he was friends with Vince Vaughn, and Vince was there to watch Steve. I met Vince through that. Then I met Peter Billingsley, and then they said, "Hey, come on
Ralphie,
in."
right?
Yep, come on in. You know, they all work at Wild West, so I went in there and I just said to him, I said, "Listen, I don't have an idea. If you guys are making a movie, I'd love to do a couple lines in it, but I am not interested in pitching a show, getting a holding deal, and taking another 12 months of my career and just putting it up on the shelf." So he's like, "All right, well, you know, we'll keep you in mind." Right as I was walking out, I was saying, "You know, I do have this idea for an animated show." And he goes, "We'd love to do an animated show. Sit down. What is it?" I told it to him. He told it to Vince. They liked it. And then through them, they brought in the great Mike Price from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And then from there, we started interviewing, try to get a writing staff. Vince came on the pitch meetings, helped sell it there. And then when we interviewed writers, all we did was just ask them about their childhood. And if they said, "Oh, it was great, you know, my mom was awesome," we were like, "All right, see you later." But if they were like, "Yeah, my brother would hit me for no reason, throw me down the stairs, and then my mom would get mad at me for crying too loud," we're like, "All right, man, that's, you know,
Yeah.
submit us some stuff," you know? So it's kind of like, you know, that's basically how it came about. It took a while though. I mean, I met them in 2010 and we kicked around for a while until we weren't busy enough and started writing it. I think the 2013, and maybe it came out in 14. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's a decent time, but I mean I think that's one. It's always struck me one of the strengths of the show is that unlike The Simpsons, is a great piece of work, but has run for a very long time. And there's a mountain of episodes. What I like about your show is there aren't too many episodes. There's not too much stuff out there. It feels to me like the quality you get with your show is just consistently high.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Well, that has to do with, you know, the people that, you know, Mike Price is basically the captain of the ship. So the writers that we've had throughout the years, and I just feel like every season it gets stronger. And the voiceover actors that we were able to get because of Vince, I feel, trying to think, we got Justin Long. And then once we got Sam Rockwell,
yeah,
then we had these really funny names in the business. And I think through that, we were able to get Laura Dern. And then, you know, we got Dave Koechner. And it was just like, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, man, this is like a legit cast. I hope we write something. And one of my favorite things is like Mo Collins is such a beast for us on the show. Whenever we make her laugh in the table read, because she's so funny, you make her laugh. That's a great thing. We've just had so many, you know, Vince did a character for a season. It was amazing. And, you know, and everybody works differently. Some guys like to have the other actor in the booth. Some people don't or whatever, but it's been a real fun process.
What's your preference, Bill? How do you like to get it done? Do you like them around you? You know, do you like them to be in the booth? How do you feel about that?
I can do it either way, but you know, if I'm a couple episodes behind, I'm like, all right, let's blow through these things. Let me get through these, and I'll give you, you know, I really learned, and I actually became a better actor by becoming a better voiceover actor because I was able, like, the different options. You start to learn, like, the different options and then the 3 subsets of each options, and all of a sudden you can give like 9 reads on a line. So if you're just doing that, then when Mike Price, the mad scientist, puts it together, whatever best take he liked to somebody else, he has, like, you know, up from 3 to 5, 6 options, you know, that I've been able to read or whatever. But I also learned, you know, I watched some Mel Blanc stuff, and that's where I learned his thing, where he's like, obviously I don't have anywhere near that guy, but just his idea of, like, he was talking to different characters that he did and how he would be like, I'm not saying the right characters, but he'd be like, you know, well, Yosemite Sam is like Daffy Duck. I just moved up the register and added a Southern accent or something like that. And it just all becomes like offshoots of it. And so I kind of tried to do that with my limited talent.
I mean, you know, there's no better person to aspire to than Mel Blanc, right? I mean, he was just in a league of his own. You know, I remember
he was Jordan. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and the way he could, like, talk to himself in multiple character voices, Yeah, at the same time, just without, and he could do it and keep the tape rolling. I think it's amazing. So if you're going to base it on anybody, he's the man, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I needed all the help I could get. It took me about 3 episodes to get up and running, and then I kind of figured out where my wheelhouse was in it.
And how'd you find two of the guys you mentioned, Justin Long and Sam Rockwell? What's it like working with them?
Oh man, everybody has been great, but I'll tell you, Justin and Sam are they're really good friends, and they already had their own way of joking before I met them, and they're like one of my favorite things ever. I've said this before, is somebody who's really smart that's silly, and that's what they are really, really, really silly, immature, just hilarious, but brilliant. So I remember the first time I got in the booth with Justin Long, who does the voice of Kevin, and he just was so in it. And he had this look on his face. I couldn't look at him. I was going to laugh because he was just like, I wasn't doing anything. And then when we would go to talk, he had this look on his face like I can't even do it. He looked like he was 15. And he was so just doing it. And then Sam is really big on having you there, at least on video or whatever, playing off of it. And he just plays with it until he gets it. And Laura Dern was like that, where Lauren, when I first was doing Frank, going, oh, come on, Susan, blah, blah. And so she went okay, so he's a rager. And I just watched her. And it's funny with them, if as a comic, you're just so from the second you get on, you got to have it or you're done. And to watch actors be able to just sort of what looks like they're meandering. It's what are they doing? What are they doing? And then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, it's oh my God, watching them do that. I watch a lot of hockey. It reminds me of the great goal scorers. They're barely skating out there. They're just, they're just sort of going around and going around. And then all of a sudden, an opportunity, their eyes get wide, and it's just bing, bang, boom. They make this quick move. But by the time the defenseman realizes the goalie, it's in the back of the net. So I felt like Sam and Laura Dern were like that, where they were just really, really laid back, playing with it. And then and then all of a sudden they figure one thing out, another thing out, and then it just becomes super tight. And then there's just this character, and it was just wow, I wish I could do that.
Yeah. That's amazing. And what a great experience to be, I mean, I think you're being very humble, by the way, mate, because your character's awesome. And he's like the epicenter of the show.
Part of my charm. I'm really an arrogant ass. I just pretend to be down to earth in my interviews.
Mate, speaking of actors, when you look back on the amazing guests you've had, I know you mentioned Vince a second ago. Who have you really enjoyed working with as, who's been a guest on the show?
As far as well, I mean, everybody just sort of becomes reoccurring after a while. So I obviously mentioned Sam, Justin, Lauren. When Keckner does Bob Pogo, I mean, he's swinging his arm. Hey, Frank! He really, really gets into it. So it's just, sometimes Mike will just send me pictures of Dave in the booth. No audio. I just start laughing, going, all right, I know he crushed that. Mo Collins, because she can do so many different voices. Haley Reinhart, where she has that raspy thing, so she sounds like a little boy, because a little boy voice can be annoying where it's high pitched. She has a little bit of that raspiness in it. I mean, there's just so many. I know I'm going to say Trevor, of course. And Kevin Farley. It always bummed me out that somehow the story got away from Sawitsky and Son, because I love the way he did Mr. Sawitsky, who'd yell at his son, and his son is done by Justin Long. So when we got the two of them in there, it was just that was another magical day. Allison Janney. I mean, we just have it's Murderer's Row. It's Murderer's Row. Debbie Derryberry, who's done a zillion voices for it. I know I'm going to be forgetting so many people, but I've enjoyed just watching all of them. And it's weird. You just get in amongst them. And Phil Hendry, I knew I was going to forget somebody. you just get in the booth with them, and you can't help but get at least better at it with them in there. And we've had so much fun. Obviously with the COVID, we can't do the table reads because that was always great. Like we have had some great table reads, just like huge laughs, people dying, just really great stuff. And that's always fun too, because then you get to look over at the writers and they get to hear it,
They get the real buzz of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the hardest workers, editors and writers, man. Like writers, it's just, days when the script is working, it's a really fun job. But the days when it isn't, man, it is just like how hard they work.
Yeah,
is unbelievable.
No, I believe it. And just to wrap up, mate, when you look back over like 4 seasons and 36 episodes, what are you proudest of when you look at what you've achieved so far? Or do you have like a particular episode that you look at and go, that's it, that's the one?
I'm probably most proud of the quality that we really made sure that, I tried to, it definitely gets absurd sometimes, but my comedy always need to have it at least, no matter how absurd it's going to get, it has to go down how it would really go down, because absurd things happen all the time. But I just don't want something to be absurd for absurd's sake, because just as a fan of shows, if everybody is absurd, then and it's not tethered to anything, then I don't care. I don't care about the characters because the whole thing just seems silly. So I'm proud that we were able to accomplish that. And then there aren't really like episodes as much as there's little nuggets in there that are from my childhood or friends or something that Mike Price or, David Richardson or any of the guys wanted to get in. Like, I'll give you a couple of them.
Oh, I'd love to hear. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the very first episode, now this is a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched it yet. Very first episode when I believe Bill and Philip are up in the tree and the big kids come by and just start throwing stuff at them. That really happened to me. It didn't go as far as fireworks, but we were climbing a tree and these big kids just came by. It was like off this trail in the woods where all the neighborhood kids, they saw us up there and they just started throwing rocks at us until they were tired. We were just up there hanging on our ankles and stuff. There's another one in there where my dad really used to say, "I'll put you through that effing wall."
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And he really did say it one time when we were outside. He pointed towards the woods and we were trying not to laugh because obviously there was no wall. And this one, Dave Kushner, who does formerly of Velvet Revolver, who does all the composing for the music. He told me this hilarious story one night back when he was still a young kid partying, that he had done a gig at like the Coconut Teaser, one of those classic Sunset Strip things. And when he was running out of the gig, he had his guitar in one hand and his amp in another hand. And he was so wasted that when he ran across the street and he fell, all he could think was save the equipment. So he stuck his arms out to the side trying to hold him up, and he face planted and knocked all his teeth out in the front.
Oh, man.
So we ended up putting that in the show. There's one where Kevin sneaks out and he runs out with his amp and his guitar, and we had him do the same face plant, and I forgot it was in there. So when Dave was writing the music, he texted me. He's like, "Oh, is that my story?" Oh, my God. Yeah, he loved it. That was a good one. And then Mike Price caught his dad one time late night, was watching TV, and he was sneaking in when he was supposed to be in bed. And Mike's dad was watching this cigar commercial, and their catchphrase is like, "We're going to get you." "Oh, yeah, we're going to get you." Real cocky, like they're so good. "We're going to get you." "Oh, yeah, we're going to get you." And his dad was sitting in there by himself, and he just goes, "You're not going to get me." Talking to the TV. So for like 3 seasons, Mike was trying to get that in there, and every time we had the joke in there, it just didn't seem. I mean, it was a part. The script was too long. We had to cut it, and like I think last season, I believe it was either season 3 or 4, we finally got it in, and there's just stuff like that where I know if it's like a personal story for a writer or a performer, if you just have that little thing in there, I just love it because I know it makes them happy and that they can talk and be like, that's what my sister did or that's what my dad did. So it's been a tremendous amount of fun, and I really appreciate the fact that people took the time to watch it.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So look, this has been Forbidden Planet TV. This is FPTV New Releases. We've been talking to the mighty Bill Burr about his epic show, F is for Family. And we've got a whole ton of awesome F is for Family merchandise to order from the links attached to this interview. Thanks for joining us tonight, mate.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for having me on, and thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks very much, man. Take care of yourself.
No worries. Congratulations again on Liverpool.
Thanks so much, brother. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
Take care, mate. All the best.